What's good, everyone? This is your boy DJ's Raw and Cut Truth. I got my boy Gibson on the line. Brother, welcome. And today we got a lot of things to talk about, especially the NBA draft that's coming up.
Yeah.
Just one thing that's a glaring issue. I see that people are stat watching instead of watching the whole film and giving constructive criticism and answers to each prospect. I think it's pretty odd to me.
Yeah, and like that's true. I've just noticed the draft isn't like a star, like an all-star, superstar type player in the draft. But the way this draft is talked about, it just seems like people only look at the percentages and leave it at that. Especially when it comes to Cole Anthony, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards. It seems that people kind of just key in on stats. Oh, even James Wiseman for the positive side. It's just that's my problem. I agree with you there.
Yeah, we got to get rid of this emotion and evaluating. Just because it's not your favorite player or your type of tea of player doesn't mean you have to go on baseless rhetoric. As for players like Anthony Edwards, I'm starting to hear that the GMs or just rumors, they're questioning the people that's around him, saying that's not a good image and yada yada yada. This is what I'm talking about: logic over emotion. Logic tells you take Anthony Edwards if he's around because of his ceiling is high. Emotion will tell you will not draft Anthony Edwards because you don't like that he's the type of prospect you convert, you cover. This is the problem in draft analysis.
Yeah. And the thing is, I heard on the Wasserman, or I think it was one of those scouts. They were talking about how mostly older scouts don't like LaMelo and don't like Edwards. And I feel like this is one of the old boys club bullshits going on, is that they're going off image, or you got a loud black father, you got a loud group of people around you, and they see that as a weakness. So they overthink these things and say, well, he's not smart. They say he's aloof. They say key words that you wouldn't hear from a white swaggy kid who gives off wears his braids on his head. They don't get the same look. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I definitely see that. They were saying that with Anthony Edwards. Remember when he was deciding to decide a college team? They were planting the seeds then and saying his father was too involved, and they were mad because he didn't go to the Kentuckys or Dukes, saying his father made the decision for him. So, but that starts then, and it's here now, and it really shows me that they're really anti black men. I'm not trying to go in a racial epithet, but they're stereotyping. They're just making up baseless things, and we got to get back to truth and
And
knowing what a player could do instead of just rhetoric.
yeah, but I think it's anti not going to a blue whatever they call it, blue check. What do they call it thing? Blue chip school. Like,
Yes.
I've realized that if you don't go to a certain school, they don't give you the marking of a certain talent. Because it's weird because all the top three players didn't go to a Duke or a Kentucky or a, a known commodity school, and so that's why even it's the rhetoric changed a lot for them. Because like as much as the media likes to say we're anti college basketball here and there, when it's time to we're anti, oh, they're not paying the kids, they are the most pro college people ever. That fake liberal crap they play off like they care about people. Then when it's time for the draft, they key on players who go to blue chip schools. They key in on players, oh, well, he played for this. Oh, and then I think it was during the play, it was Terrence Maxey and Edwards playing, some basketball, 1-0. Remember that? ESPN was showing it
Yes, I
on
remember.
there and all that. I think it was Tyrese Maxey's coach, Kentucky coach, and he's really popular. And he was saying how this kid, oh man, he's going to be the next Jamal Murray. Now he hasn't shown any semblance of that, but everyone's like, oh man, you got to listen to him. And because his words has so much strength around the league, everyone bought in. So no one says anything negative about him. That he takes risky shots, that certain things. He's a sharp kid. He's not he's a hard worker. And that's funny how all these hard worker titles go to certain people, but it doesn't go to LaMelo. I'm like, dude, like it's just weird. It's a pro college crap thing going on.
Yeah, and that's the person he's talking about, John Calipari. Now, the funny part is, even though John Calipari had a lot of prospects come out of his school that were great in the NBA, that are great in the NBA, he did have some duds like Scal Labissiere, the Harrison twins, Isaiah Briscoe. The list goes on. So he does have people who have made it to the NBA and have done well, but he also has people that really have not reached their ceiling or
I'm
not even played to their standard at all.
DJ, I'm gonna say this. North Carolina, except for this year, UK, um, uh, Duke, they made me realize if you are talented enough and you go to any of their teams, you're an automatic top 10. No, hands down, you're an automatic top 10. You're an automatic lottery pick if you go to their school. If you are a talented player, it's a safe bet. I've realized the game is rigged to a certain position. How the
Hmm.
media talks about you, how you're seen, like how they talk about how LaMelo was never in a winning position in his life. I'm like, what are we talking about? Now we're just lying.
Yeah, that's you hit it right on the nail with that. If I was a young prospect and I wanted to play for a team where I can just, you know, not exert so much energy and I could save it until the NBA, that's Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, those type of schools, because I know that they will hide my weaknesses. And that's one thing they don't talk about. The bus that sometimes come out of Duke or uh, or Kentucky even is all because of the scouts don't see their weaknesses so much. So when they get to the NBA and they flame out, you'd be like, man, I didn't see that coming, but you never saw his weakness.
Yeah, well, it works more for like forwards and guards. I think they caught on to the centers in those teams. I think they really caught on because it's harder like to just get in with ease as a center nowadays. But still, I see it too many times. Like with Lamelo, and like you were bringing us back to stat watching. They say he only shot 25% from three, and I'm like, 12 games first of all isn't enough to go like, oh my god, you suck. Also, he was shooting 34% from three in the preseason on high attempts, but let's not count that too. Um, his last like 6 games, he shot 30% from three. Like he was getting better because he was
Mm.
working on his form. He was taking less shitty shots. Like I think what people do is they key in on a number, and that lets them know how trash. Like, oh, that's what trash. He's trash now.
Yeah, that's the stuff this whole sports community got to get rid of. Not just basketball, but all sports. The stat watching is chronic, man. It's 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 outdated. It's
Yeah,
not true scouting.
yeah, because I heard this one guy on Twitter say, "Oh, Alonzo." He was a total big Lonzo fan. He was like, "Yo, Lonzo is a better shooter than Trey Young." And I went in my head. I went like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And people look at percentages and they're like, "Oh, that's why." I'm like, "No, no, stop. Don't look at percentages. Look at who could shoot off the dribble. Look who could shoot the half court shots. Look at what they could do when it comes to 3 point. Like Trey Young brings more gravity to when he's on the court shooting a shot. You have to look for Trey Young if he's open. Sometimes you don't for Lonzo. When he goes cold, you kind of can relax with Lonzo. There's a difference.
Yeah, we need another stat like shot creativity makes.
Yeah.
because that should mean something. Um, when a defender is leaving you open because they still view you as a bad 3-point shooter, I don't take those threes, you know, seriously enough. Now I've given Lonzo props for improving his 3-point shot. I
Oh,
really do.
he's a great catch and shooter. Like he
Yeah.
is a shooter in this league. That's not a lie. He is a shooter in this league. But the
But
thing hmm?
oh, sorry about that. I'm gonna add this one thing. I see why that not only he was working on his finishing this offseason,
Yeah.
but creative shots because he
Yeah.
knows he has to work on that.
Yeah, if he can fool, if he can make the defender have to move, it allows for his passing ability to be more impactful. And that's why I feel like with LaMelo, I don't think his first year is going to be as like if you're watching the game, you can realize he's not going to be as impactful as Lonzo. But if you're just watching highlights and watching passes and watching, he'll have better stats than Lonzo. He'll have better highlights than Lonzo, and that's all that will be cared about to the media. So
Oh, absolutely. As since we brought up Lonzo, let's bring up a player that has a similar game to Lonzo. I'm not calling him Lonzo for the shines who may get mad, but Tyreese Halliburton. What do you see in his game, and do you think that he could be a good player in this league?
um, I think here's the thing: Lonzo is way more athletic than this kid, and a way better person, like on person defender. Like he's a better at certain positions, but at the same time, like Halliburton's really long. He could shoot the ball, sort of. Like he could shoot the ball. His percentages look great, just like Lonzo coming out. But at the same time, I feel like a lot of teams they might take a chance over him and Killian, and that's going to be a mistake.
Yeah, that is going to be a mistake. I don't think he's better than Killian Hayes. Now I know he's left-handed dependent in regards to dribbling the ball, and I'm talking
But
about Killian, by the way.
oh no, but Tyrese Halliburton also has a problem, like with his. I don't know if it's left or right. He also has his own problem, but no one talks about it as much as Killian.
That's interesting.
Tyrese Halliburton dribbling ability is not that great. If you get up on him enough, I've seen it because I watched one game. I think it was against Kyrie Lewis Jr. because I wanted to see what.
Alabama, when they played
Yeah,
against Alabama.
and I just noticed a lot of the times his best moves were getting in transition, get the rebound, get in transition, and pass up ahead like Alonzo. Like he has that talent. But anytime it was half court time, and they like kind of pulled off his, he would stop. He wasn't trying to get to the for a layup. He paused a lot. There are some things in his games which people who don't watch film won't notice until it's too late. Like, but he's the kind of guy where you put next to a point guard and you're like, oh man, you're gonna add some defense, off ball defense, and you're going to be a valuable player for us to be safe, make sure the court doesn't fall apart. You know what I'm saying? That turnovers don't get crazy. That's really what he is here for.
Oh, absolutely. From watching Halliburton play, this is my honest breakdown from him. He's fantastic in transition, uh, has high IQ, makes the right play, efficient passer, is willing to defender with long wingspan. When he's in half court, he kind of goes away from his game, kind of timid around the basket, can make a three, but it's a little bit unorthodox.
Yeah.
Uh, I see why they say he's kind of like Lonzo. The difference is Lonzo's more athletic. He's stronger right now. Uh, of course, Lonzo's probably the best pure passer in the NBA. Even haters tell me that. They say they may hate Lonzo, but they always say he's the best pure passer in the NBA. The reason why he does, and when I say he, Lonzo, the reason why Lonzo doesn't get like the 10 to 12 assists per game is because he hasn't developed a scoring option in his game, which allows defenders not to but not to anticipate his passes in the passing lanes.
Yeah, like it's crazy because if there was games we watched, and you even noticed it where he'll drive, and defenders already knew he was looking to pass. Like
Right.
a lot of times he'd be too pass happy, and he would not look less to score to the point where defenders would just like get ready for any lanes that he would be passing it to.
So true. Another thing, what about these potential trades I'm hearing from the OKC Thunder, the Chicago Bulls, and the Detroit Pistons? What do you think about that? The trades up for LaMelo.
I think it's going to be very moderate, decent trades. I don't think they're going to pull out anything crazy. Like with OKC, I could see them giving them Dennis Schroeder, a future pick, and they're this pick this year, and that's it. I could see Pistons giving up Luke Kennard and another player probably, and their pick, and that's it. Maybe just Luke Kennard in the pick. I don't see them giving up anything crazy like Shea Gildress. I don't see the Bulls giving up any of their key young players for LaMelo. They're only moving up from 4 to like 1. I could see them just saying, "Listen, we'll give you like the fourth pick and the 2020 pick, and that's it."
Yeah, and they really got to realize they got to be aware of what everybody else is trying to do on the trade moves, because the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves are desperate to trade out. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't give up everything just to make those trades. Be aware of what the trades are going down. If they don't take it, then you take the best player available in your draft selection.
Yeah, and it's what makes me happy is that trade is that Wolves have to trade that pick. Because here's the thing. They are in a position to where if they try to be stingy and try to get a star player, they're not getting a star player for LaMelo. Like, as much as I like LaMelo, there's not a team who's trying to be in a win-now mode giving up their star wing. They're not getting any wings for that. That's why Pistons, the Bulls, and the OKC make sense, because they're the only teams not in win-now aspirations that will be able to trade with you. So they can't play greedy, because if they play greedy, they're not going to take LaMelo, and LaMelo's going to drop to the Warriors. And the Warriors are not going to look for anything big more than just win-now players.
Yeah. Certain teams can make it work with the Warriors if they traded. I know that Danilo Gallinari is a free agent, but they could do a sign and trade, right?
I didn't even think about that one. I did not think about that one. That would make so much sense. But hold
For
up.
both teams.
But I don't. But the cap.
Mm.
Like, the Warriors have a fucking huge problem. Like, they don't have enough cap space. I think they have a $17 million exception. I don't know if they could trade that. But that cap is the problem.
I got an idea, Gibson. What if the OKC Thunder traded Danilo Gallinari, Dennis Schroeder, a draft pick, and an unprotected future pick for LaMelo? Oh, not LaMelo. Well, they would draft LaMelo, the number 2 pick, and also Andrew Wiggins to help out the cap.
Oh, hell. No one's taking that Andrew Wiggins contract, DJ. That is the one thing and reason why the Warriors are stuck in this hot area. If they didn't have Andrew Wiggins, that number 2 pick would be a very easy trade to be made for them. But Andrew Wiggins, because of how much he cost, he has made it very hard for them to do anything movable.
That trade was the dumbest trade. Why would the Warriors give up D'Lo? I know he's not a great defensive player, but why would they give up him for Andrew Wiggins? It makes no sense.
No. I could tell you why. That 2021 pick that the Wolves gave to the Warriors is big in value, and plus Wiggins could be probably an okay, good 4th guy, or 3rd guy, so they don't need to care. Yeah, it's difficult because it's here's the thing. They're not high on D'Lo. They expect the Wolves to suck. And D'Lo is kind of one of those players where he's not that great defensively, so you can't have a D'Lo and Steph backcourt and think you're going to be successful with that. That's what they thought in their head. I don't know. It's a little confusing, man. It really is.
Wow, I just summed it up in my head. The 2021 pick is so loaded with wings and forwards, and you need that in today's NBA, especially
Yeah.
with these talented small forwards we have playing right
Since
now.
KD left, they need that.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves, even though they're a talented team, they're in the Western Conference. And since the West is so stacked, I mean, they could barely miss the playoffs. And that draft pick will go to the Warriors. Oh, my God, that's a steal now that I think about it.
Yeah, because here's the thing you have to think about it. Well, D'Lo is expensive, and the Warriors are not that high on him. They basically can get Wiggins to be maybe the fourth or third best guy, and it costs them the fourth best guy. And then 2021 pick, who I'm thinking that the Wolves are not going to get Wolves are going to be like fourth, fifth, sixth pick, maybe even seventh. You could still get an Amani Bates. You could still get a talented big forward for like a Texas. You could still get these guys. And say if Cade Cunningham surprisingly underperforms and people overreact, which he won't, he'll be probably number one. But if he does, he can fall to the Warriors. And then that's an added piece. But the Warriors are in a position of luxury. The problem is, it's the reason they have a problem being able to trade the second pick is because they have to take on cap and they don't have space.
You know what? I know Warriors fans are not going to like what I'm about to say most. Some may like it. But it's not a bad thing if they did draft LaMelo. That literally gives you an extra total of 15 years of something. Like if he could develop, right? Let's say he develops and he learns from Stephen Clay. When the years go by and Stephen Clay retires, you'll have a LaMelo Ball under the system, continuing a tradition for longevity.
And well, not only that, you could trade him in the middle of the season if they're still high value.
True. It's a win-win situation. But the Warriors, what I'm saying, they're being impatient. I think they have enough to have a good team. They got to play hard, of course.
Nah,
They need to get a free agent big, but
nah,
they can
DJ.
they can be competitive.
Nah, DJ. Yo, no. I know what you're saying, but I'll tell you why. Most players that come off of ACL, what did Clay come off of?
Something with his knee,
Yeah, I think it was ACL tear or something like that.
LCL,
LCL,
LCL.
I don't know, but usually in the first year, those players underperform defensively. They usually don't have a great time. That's why I'm not high on KD being KD of what he is, but he's still going to be good. I think Steph is gonna have underperformed shooting in the first 10 games. I can see them struggling, especially if they're gonna be in the West this year. I don't. They're still gonna get to the playoffs. I think they'll be a sixth, fifth seed, but they're not gonna be the Warriors what they were years ago. So, especially with the bench, because you have to think about it. Name their bench, DJ. Their bench is worse than the Pelicans' bench.
But can you imagine if they did draft LaMelo Ball and he comes off the bench and be a spark plug for them?
It wouldn't. It still wouldn't work. Because Lamelo's Ball, as much as I do believe in Lamelo Ball,
Uh-huh.
I don't know how he would play off of guys like Jordan Poole and other guys. He needs other guys who can shoot, and the problem is their bench just can't shoot.
That's true. What about Wiseman? What if the Warriors draft Wiseman?
Why? No.
They might as well just trade. Hey, here's a trade. Man, they got to make the cap work. Here's a person that the Warriors need to get. They need to get Vucevic from the Magic.
I. 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 It's
I'm gonna
how,
tell you. I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna tell you why.
yeah.
Remember Mo Bamba? Mo Bamba has so much potential, but since Vucevic is on their team,
Yeah.
he's not starting. But he has a lot of potential.
Here's the crazy thing, and I'm about to say this. James Wiseman had Mo Bamba hype, but he has less skill than Mo Bamba. Like Mo Bamba could shoot better than him.
Mm-hmm.
But people keep comparing James Wiseman to KG, which they need to stop doing that shit. Like they need to stop comparing. Like the Ringer needs to chill with these bad comparisons. Like the only reason you compare LaMelo to Sean Livingston is because they're light skinned and they're 6'7". Lonzo to LaMelo is because he's light. It's his brother. Comparing Anthony Edwards to Juhan, why? They're not the same. Comparing fucking Obi Toppin to Amari Stoudemire. Let's not do that. These comparisons are killing me, man.
Yeah, I could understand if they say uh LaMelo is a 6'7", 6'8", Jason Williams with all-star potential. I could accept that. But I'm not gonna accept, oh, he's just Sean Livingston. Yes, they have the same frame. You have to give me more to Sean Livingston. You get what I
Also,
mean?
yeah. Also, Sean Livingston had a killer mid range when he was young. Like as much as I like LaMelo, he doesn't have a killer mid range. So that
Yeah.
comparison's stupid at its own.
Yeah, Sean Livingston before that injury was ascending. He came out of high school and you saw the talent, even though he played on the Clippers. And if he didn't have that injury, we would have had a different look of Sean Livingston. People forget that.
Yeah.
He was on his way.
Yeah.
Truly was.
I don't
Uh,
know. I just feel like when it comes to these drafts, it's very rare to find object criticism. Like I noticed you point out um Gab, you watched the ESPN guys, and I like them because they do bring up a lot of what's wrong with LaMelo's game, and that's what. As much as I like LaMelo and I think he's going to be a star player, there's a lot of teams I just don't know if he's going to be like great in his first year, or the teams might overreact and trade him.
if there's a way the Pistons can get him, man.
Oh, that would work. It would be glue if they can keep Christian Woods. They have enough cap to get another player. They have a bunch of shooters. They have speed. They have Luke Kennard. They have Blake Griffin can shoot now, and Blake Griffin basically can sort of. Blake Griffin's not a great defender. It's just they have the talent. They have a six man in Derrick Rose, who they can trade for an extra player and a pick. Like the Pistons are the only viable team in which I can see being able to make a successful trade for a LaMelo or if they want an Edwards. If they want, they're one of the only teams I see it because they could offer a Luke Kennard and a pick, and I think that the pick is not low enough, and Luke Kennard is enough value because they have speed who could replace Luke Kennard if they're high on him. They have a bunch of other shooters. They have cap space, so they can get another guy.
Here's what the Pistons are hoping so they can make this trade happen. If somehow LaMelo passes two, right? Charlotte and Michael Jordan and company, Mitch Kupchak, are one of the few teams I can see pull the trigger for that trade. What do you think?
Nah, they have no. I'm telling you, DJ, the only two teams that are actually willing to trade are going to be the Warriors and the Wolves. Charlotte is stuck. They're going to take any of those three guys. Anthony Edwards, I know they're high on. I've seen a lot of Anthony Edwards pictures with the Charlotte stuff on him. Like, I know they're high on Anthony Edwards. They're going to take him no matter what. So, waiting for him to fall to three, they're going to take Anthony Edwards. So, the Wolves will take LaMelo because they know they're going to trade that pick. Like, they are trading that pick no matter what. Because for some reason in their mind, they're already competitors and they need to make moves now.
Brother, I got to correct myself. And this is why I like doing this show, because sometimes you think about stuff in the past and interviews and it comes right back to your mind, right?
Yeah.
I was saying that at first because I thought, you know how Charlotte is with their organization. Sometimes they just don't do enough to get a player that can change their franchise and the trajectory of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm basing it off that. But Mitch Kupchak had an interview a couple months ago, And he did say to the Charlotte Observer that, quote, we're not a team that can just trade back and try to acquire assets. We got to take the best player available at that spot.
Bang.
He did said that. He did say that. I forgot he said that.
Yeah, because they're one of the few teams who kind of know their place. Like the Warriors are competitive and they are in a place where they can win a championship realistically. The Wolves sort of didn't have D'Lo and Cat play together. Really, they didn't really play together. They played what, 2 games together probably. So they didn't. So they in their minds believe, man, if we had these two guys, we're already a 30-something win team. We need the 40. So they feel like they need somebody to be sort of a defensive, and they're gonna want a defensive-minded type player.
Right. Gibson,
Oh,
I just did some research. You're right. Whoever needs to trade to get LaMelo, they got to make it with those 2 picks, man. I mean, with those 2 draft uh, picks with Minnesota and the Warriors. They got to trade with those guys because I don't see what I'm seeing right now. If people do not fall for the media buffoonery and just the smoke screen, Charlotte is banking on one of those 3 players, either Anthony Edwards, LaMelo, Wiseman, to be there, and they will take them. They're not trading the pick.
they're not. And I really do wish, I do believe that Charlotte is the type of team that should be trading their pick because they really could, get a Kongwu and they could get an extra player or pick if they want in this draft. If I were Charlotte, I would look to trade down with the Knicks because then you could still get a Kongwu. Then you could look to get another, bench scorer who can come off and give you some points. And so you somewhat have a comparable team. Not good, but you have a team who could defend. You have a center who could defend 1 through 5. You have something.
You see, Gibson, that's why I first stated that I didn't think Charlotte would keep the pick or trade down, because I thought Charlotte would do what we thought they would do, right? To trade down and get Big O and stack their roster up. I thought they would do something like that. But what I'm reading now, man, the teams that want LaMelo, they got at least trade up to either 1 or 2.
Yeah, when I saw OKC, my eyes glimmered because I was like, they're the only team that will sell a shit ton to get LaMelo.
Well, OKC is one of the they're ahead of their time in analytics. Look how they built their team. They made the playoffs on a year nobody thought they would have made the playoffs. Now, shout out to Chris Paul for being a leader. That made a difference. And I believe Chris Paul was done wrong by the Houston Rockets, but that's another discussion for another day. They're ahead of the game. You know how they do.
Who's their GM?
Their GM is fantastic.
I forgot his name. I gotta because I his name's so popular because he's really good at his. He basically robbed OKC. Presti.
Yeah, Sam Presti. Sam Presti.
No, I really do. I feel like Sam Presti's trying to figure out a way to get as much assets out of the situation. So he's not going to trade Chris Paul in this offseason. He's not going to do that. Chris Paul's not going to be a part of any LaMelo trade. He's going to stay there. They're going to try to trade him in the middle of the season. So what I think they're going to do is they're going to trade an asset that Heat swap 2021 pick and their 2020 pick and a Dennis Schroeder to the Wolves. They're going to try that because Dennis Schroeder can bring them whatever the defense they think. He averages 18 points. He could basically be the third wheel because who's the Wolves' third wheel who got arrested? Who's basically
Malik Beasley.
Yeah, he's done. He's super done. I read that shit. He's over for it. So
done.
A great replacement for a Malik would be a Dennis Schroeder. So if you could replace him with Dennis Schroeder, get a 2020 pick, so you have 3 picks this year, get a 2021 pick, the Heat sweep spot, you won. You could go to your everybody and say, look what we got. And then the OKC can get LaMelo. They could wait in the middle of the year, let Chris Paul be the starter, let LaMelo sort of come off the bench, let the groove come in, and then in the middle of the season, when the trade deadline comes in, they'll trade Chris Paul to a competitor for the 2021 pick and a veteran who can bring value to the team that is younger than Chris Paul.
That's pretty excellent right there. Not bad at all.
I mean, because I'm trying to figure out what the Bulls can't do anything. The Bulls can't maneuver like that because they're not trying to rip their team up. They're already young.
Yeah, that makes sense. We don't talk about Cole Anthony a lot, but I'm gonna bring him up on this. Where do you think he should go to? Now, I've already stated that he should go to a winning team. It seems like when he goes to winning organizations or teams throughout his whole career, you get the best out of Cole Anthony. When he plays on a team that's subpar, he tries to do too much, tries to jack up more shots, go out of his game.
I saw Cole Anthony's last game, and the way he was shooting free throws, getting to the basket, I was like, man, this guy, he could be somebody. So I truly do believe if I were the Kings, I would look to get Cole Anthony or Kyrie. Like the Kings should just get Kyrie or Cole Anthony. Cole Anthony should be a 15, 13, oh no, a 15, 12 pick. The Magic should look to get Cole. He's valuable, man. He's really valuable to me.
I think the Celtics should make a move to get Cole Anthony.
I fucking hate the Celtics to get Cole Anthony.
I grew up a Laker fan, so we've been beefing with Celtic fans for a long time. But I gotta keep it real. If the Celtics can get Cole Anthony, man, that's a plus.
If the Celtics can somehow get Cole Anthony, Xavier Tillman, I'm just gonna be pissed off. I'm gonna be pissed.
Man. That's just what they.
Yeah. I mean, they won't be able to. I don't know who they'll take off the roster. It'll probably be that big, tall dude that they have, but they'll have somewhat of a team. It's Cole Anthony. I think he's in the position of where he played in a team full of dudes who can't shoot, so it wasn't something productive to showing off his passing ability. Like he's not the greatest of passers, but he is a good passer. So passing it to people who can't shoot hurts you. And he's another example of stat watching. He's a key example of stat watching.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'm not going to lie, there was a little bit of me that wanted to hate on Cole Anthony because, I like Lonzo Ball, but then I had to like LaMelo Ball, but then I had to realize, no, this kid is good. This kid is good. Like when he was getting his shots off, he was making them. Like he was really good at making his shots. He's a good shot maker. They had to double team him. Teams keyed in on him. And as much as he's not like really big, he could get to the rim. Like he has the passing ability. I remember he blocked like some 6'9" dude or something, or from Oregon. Some amazing block. He'll fight. I feel like he's a fighter. And I don't think people respected him enough because of stats.
Yeah, here at DJ's Raw and Cut Truth, one thing we do is we keep it fair with all prospects and analyzing their game. Like Gibson just said, Cole Anthony was dealt with a bad hand at North Carolina. Instead of us just looking at the stats and stat watching, we saw the problems. Lack of shooters, stagnant offense, was not able to create and be a playmaker because of lack of three-point shooters. It's clearly there. The film doesn't lie.
Yeah, and so like with that, there's just a few college players that were hurt for being with certain teams. I think Jaden McDaniels a good off-ball defender. I feel like he just needs to fix his shot a little bit. He seems like a guy who has a good mid-range. He feels like a guy who could be this guy, but he just underperformed.
If he, you know what's funny? If he was in Kentucky, he'll be a top 10 pick.
Oh, yeah, right. I think, yeah, he would have totally worked in Kentucky. Like, I just feel like he went to Washington, and then played with another player who's in the lottery, like Isaiah Stewart, who was supposed to be a top 10 pick but fell. Like, I just feel like a lot of these guys are hurt because of colleges they chose. And that's I feel like this is the problem with the media and how things are going. It's,
Here's
it's
one thing I learned about college. If you're a top prospect and you're trying to go a different route, you better have some goons going with you. Like Oklahoma State with next year's potential number one pick. The brother's name again. Um, we said his name on show.
um, what do
The
you
point guard that's coming out next year.
point guard from who?
Oklahoma State.
Oklahoma State. Shit. Oklahoma? Or was it? Kyrie Lewis?
No.
No. Only a few. Tyreese. I don't know the schools' names like that.
Right. Let me search that real quick. I can't believe we just said his name too.
Damn.
And I'm from Texas. I should know this.
Ramsey? No, he
No,
wasn't.
not Ramsey. He's gonna
I'm
be.
just naming random players now. I'm losing.
Yeah, I got you covered, brother. I got you covered. Cade Cunningham. We said his name multiple times.
You're talking about 2021. Yeah, Cade Cunningham. Yeah.
His last name is so long. You know when names are so long, you like, okay, Cade Cunningham.
Nah, Cade Cunningham's not going to get affected by any of this because he's already looked at as a number one. Like he's already looked at as a number one. Now it does matter. I do believe it does matter who's the bad team on the top. But he's already he's keyed in basically.
When I watch Cade Cunningham play, I kid you not, I'm not trying to exaggerate. I'm from Texas. You know, you see AU ball and everything. Cade Cunningham is like if you put Grant Hill at point guard.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
I think he's a smaller Ben Simmons
Who can shoot threes.
Who can shoot. And I know that's overdoing it. I don't think he has the speed, lateral quickness defensively as a Ben Simmons, but I think he's a better shooter. He can defend. He has a long wingspan. He could he's a bulldog. So I just feel here's the truth I will say about the 21 draft. I do think there are key players that in this draft would be key number one written in. Cade Cunningham, Amani Bates. No. Wow, Amani Bates. I'm getting him wrong. The tall center who's going to USC.
Evan Mobley.
Evan Mobley is a clear he's gonna be a clear number two. I do truly believe in him. There's this guy who's playing UFC. UFC, this guy who's 6'9" point guard, who's gonna be I think he's gonna be a clear number three. Jalen, whatever his name is, Jalen Green. I don't feel like he's gonna the height that he's getting. I feel like his shit's gonna is gonna go the way of Edwards.
Man, for some reason, I know he had Jalen Green, and this is not a bad take what I'm about to say because he's very polite. He's a good kid. You could tell from his interviews. He plays like Eddie Jones. I've seen this before. Remember Eddie Jones that used to play for the Lakers?
No, I'm a young blood, man.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm just a basketball historian. He'll remind if you watch tape on Eddie Jones, that's who Jalen Green reminds me of, and that's not a bad comparison because Eddie Jones did make an All-Star team before.
Yeah.
Another player. What about Jalen Johnson from Duke? He's supposed to be a good wing next year.
Who?
Jalen Johnson. He's a 6'8" wing.
Oh, from Duke?
Yeah.
I already know. I'm like, listen, Matthew Hurt, Jalen Johnson, that other guy, Kaminga. Is he
Oh
putting
yeah, Jonathan
right?
Kaminga.
I'm
Yeah.
already putting on money every game. I'm putting the spreads. I'm literally putting $50 on every game they play. I'm betting every game they play because they're gonna
Smart.
wash every single team.
Oh yeah, they are.
They're defensively mobile. I think the Trey Jones thing that they had going on, I think they're gonna get better because they won't have someone too small. They're gonna be able to switch, which I don't know if they switch. I think they do zones in college, but like they're just gonna be really good.
Man, Duke, and I'm a North Carolina Tar Heel fan. Most people don't forget that part.
Yeah.
So I hate Duke, but man, they have a good team. They could win it all next year. I would not be surprised. They could definitely win it all. Let me go back to
Uh, I don't believe they'll win it all because, like, for some reason, these coaches can't take talent all the way, except for like, what was Josh Hart's college team?
Villanova.
Yeah, Villanova, and is one of the only teams that knows how to, get over the hump, and that's usually because they have veteran type college players. I
I'm gonna
just
tell you the team that no one talks about, and they're a top three team. Baylor. Baylor returned so many people, but since Baylor had so many upsets in tournaments before,
yeah.
kind of like Villanova did in the early 2000s back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
like getting upset by a team you shouldn't. Then people didn't believe in Baylor, but they got everybody back. I see why they're a top three team.
Yeah,
Gonzaga could win it all.
it's crazy. I'm about to say this. 2020, the 2020 prospects did the smartest things. They all joined together.
Yeah,
And they did what media would like to do. They all went to college. They all joined together. Even the G League team, they put all of the top prospects in one team. Isaiah, I forgot his name. Isaiah, he plays with Jalen. It's like a
uh,
big forward type body. Isaiah Thomas. No, Isaiah. Listen, Isaiah Todd.
yeah, Isaiah Todd.
Yeah. So I feel like this next year's draft is just going to be a lot of wing depth, a lot of dudes where you're like, that's the reason why it's valued so high because every team wants wings. This draft is kind of weak on that. We don't have a lot of wings. The best wings we have is what, like Denny Avdia is considered the best, and I already know like 5 dudes who are wings who are going to be better than Denny Avdia, like off the rip next year.
Yeah, you're definitely right on that, man. That's why it's a better draft next year because it's the most important position, which is the wing forward position.
Yeah. Yeah, big body guys who are considered good defenders. Like teams will be desperate. That's why I think the Warriors did the best thing. The Wolves were the ones that made a dumb fucking decision. They were trying to win so badly now and please Cat now that they gave up one of their most valuable picks.
Mm.
To just so that Cat can be like, oh yeah, I have a friend, D'Lo. We're going to lose more games and not even play together. Waste this year for some apparent reason and give up a 2021 pick when we could have waited and probably gave up a 2022 pick, which is also going to still be valuable.
Man, it's gonna be an interesting draft, man. That's all I gotta say. Um, Besides Cade Cunningham, the point guard position is not
Uh,
that strong for that draft.
yeah, but a lot of the forwards are basically like point forwards. Like, you're right, but they have, like, I feel like the point guards. Who's that point guard that played LaMelo who like scored a lot of points but his team got blown out? He's playing for UCLA. He's gonna probably be a mid first round pick. But you're right, it's just not gonna be strong full of like point guards. It's gonna be 2019 draft.
Pretty much, that's what it looks
Except
like.
not better. I mean better. Except better. It's just gonna be that. Like it's not gonna be a single point guard that you're like, oh my gosh, you need to pay attention to him. But Evan Mobley is someone I am very high on. Very high on. Like, I don't even know why Charlotte's even looking to get James Wiseman when they could wait a year and just get Evan Mobley.
Yeah, that's the player they want. I mean, you should want if you're
Yeah,
trying to get a big. That dude is if he
he
was
could.
in this draft, I'm telling you, if Evan Mobley was in this draft, he's the automatic number one pick.
Oh yeah, because you could still. I mean, the Wolves would be dumb. No, they would have to take it. I mean, they would. I mean, because he could still move. He can move his body. He's really. He could. Like, I've seen tricks he don't fall. I've seen him take the ball up the court and not move like a center. Like, this guy is something else. Now, I don't think the Wolves would take him if he were in this draft. But the Warriors would definitely take him. But the Wolves would want to trade to make sure that the Warriors would not get him, because that would just make the Warriors deadly.
Brother, I wanted to talk to you about the Cavaliers. I think Obi Toppin to the Cavs is set. Like, if he's there, they're taking him.
I'm throwing up in my mouth if they take him. That is disgusting.
I think the Cavs will make that type of move. They're the Cavs, brother.
Here's why. The Cavs need defense and playmaking. And Obi Toppin is a okay playmaker. He can sort of pass. He is not a defender. If you have him on the court, a team's going to be looking at this like, okay, a forward's like, all right. LeBron's going to be like, okay, I could switch on Obi or switch on this tiny guy, Sexton. Or I could switch on. He's going to have so much. This is going to be a whole food delivery truck for him. This is all food.
So pretty much the Cavaliers should make an attempt for Denny.
Yeah, take Denny. I mean, he's not going to be the greatest of all. I think he's going to be okay defender. He's going to be what you want. He could probably take Seti's place on the lineup. He's a big body. He's aggressive. You want that. I just feel like the lateral quickness really matters, especially with a team that has 2 point guards who are not really great passers and one who's just a bad defender, but you need him on the court to score.
Man, this is how weak the 2019 guard position draft year was. The Cavaliers had to settle for Darius Garland because there weren't enough elite guards in that draft.
No,
and the people, and I got to say this, brother, if the people would realize that if any of these point guards were in last year's draft, the Cavs would have took him over Darius Garland. That is a fact. I've talked to many basketball experts.
First of all, LaMelo would have been chosen by the Knicks. That's just it. Maybe RJ might go third, and that's just going off that, right? LaMelo's getting chosen by the Wolves easily. Killian Hayes is getting taken. Maybe Halliburton might be taken before, but like Darius Garland, it was weak. I'm not even going to try to talk about that draft, because that draft, you remember, I was famously trying to get the Knicks to trade down. That was the draft where everyone was like, oh, don't trade down. But I was like, nah, trade down.
Yeah, he called it.
I was like, everyone, because, media hype, since media didn't say trade down, everyone's like, oh, this is the draft. This is the draft. I'm like, all right. But no, DJ, I'm telling you, this is one of those drafts where, like you said, it is very positional. Obi Toppin, to me, should not be top 10. You're about to say something shocking. He should not be a top 10 player. None of these teams make sense for him. None. Like, his defense does not make, because he's a forward. Like, if he were a point guard and he was bad at, like, this kind of bad on defense, I wouldn't be this big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? But when you're a forward and also considered a quote unquote 5, you can't be that slow of a player when it comes to defending. Like, he is a fast dunker. He gives you nice highlights. But, like, what team would it make sense in top 10? And I asked this before, for him to get picked by. Unless the team's trading a forward or something's happening, I don't know.
Yeah, just watching this film, it looks like a fringe playoff team would be a good fit for Obi Toppin.
He come off
the bench. Yeah. Like the Spurs. Let's say he fell to the Spurs. That'd be a good fit.
Yeah. I mean, you sort of going to need someone to take off LaMarcus Aldridge's years, but that's the thing, because like I thought we gave a shit about age, you know? I thought we gave a shit about age. And all of a sudden, he's going to be top, what, 5? But Kyrie Lewis, for some apparent reason, can't click in the top 10? But for some reason, Obi Toppin is the top 5? Cool. I don't get it. This is why I don't think the draft is weak. I just think people's opinions on where places are going is wrong. So it makes the draft look weak.
Yeah. And I know people will get mad about our take about R.J. Barrett. This is nothing personal. The Knicks needed a point guard last year. That's pretty obvious. And if LaMelo Ball, Killian Hayes, and even Tyreese Halliburton was available in that last year's draft, they would have taken them probably. They needed a point guard. Am I wrong on that assessment, brother?
You're not. You're not wrong at all. And what I think, like, because here's my top 10 in this draft. Here's who I think should be considered top 10. LaMelo, Kyrie Lewis, Killian Hayes, maybe Halliburton, and that's switch going off of it. Patrick Williams, Devin Vassell. You know, I'm not even going to go through all the names, man. I'm losing names now. But, like, what I'm basically saying is young guys who have something that Okoro, like, just dudes who are young, who can give you defense or offense, who have some kind of special talent. Like, the idea of taking Obi Toppin still gets me out of my mind. Like, I understand Denny going top 10 because he's aggressive. He has the sort of defensive awareness that people like. He can sort of pass for a forward, so it's a safe pick, and he's young and he has some kind of growth. Obi Toppin to me just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. You know, a young prospect that I'm keeping an eye on to see how he would pan out in the NBA is Patrick Williams from Florida State.
Yeah.
He was a freshman. I'm telling you, if he hits his ceiling, he could be like OG Anunoby.
I did not watch any. Truthfully, him and Vassell are one of the few guys. And there's others, but I haven't watched any of their game. But what I've been hearing about him, he averages 9 points, but I'm not gonna allow stat watching to tell me that what the scouts are telling me more. Like, he is a good defender. What I've been hearing, he can guard 1 through 4. He's really big body, but he could move fast. He's just everything about him he can sort of shoot. His free throw percentage is 80 something. So the shooting is going to probably come about. So he seems like a good type of forward where if he fell to the Pelicans, I would no. I'd probably still take Jalen Smith, but he's a good thought.
Crazy thing, he's 4 days younger than LaMelo.
Yeah. That's why I'm trying to understand why people
youngest player in the draft.
Yeah. It's a thought. But yeah, this draft, to me, the only reason it has huge question marks is because there was no March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Because if there was a March Madness, these boards would be looking a hell of a lot different, to the point where even people would overthink LaMelo, and LaMelo might have fell to the Knicks if there was a March Madness.
Yeah.
But since there is no March Madness, there's a lot of, I don't know. People don't know what's going on. So instead of just saying, I don't know what these guys can be, they just say, well, it's a weak draft.
Yeah, I think that's a lazy point of view that some of these people be saying about a weak draft. I've always been consistent. It's not a top-heavy draft. It's not a draft where you're going to have Kobe, LeBron, Kareem, Magic. You're not Jordan. You're not going to have prospects in the draft like that. But what you do have is a couple players that could end up being all-stars, but a lot of depth. I think depth-wise, this draft is better than last year's draft. Last year's draft had so many players go to the G League, come back to the NBA, go back to the G League. because they weren't ready. No one talks about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and like here's the way I'm gonna give just a little insight on how I watch basketball because I'm not an expert scout. I'm gonna keep it honest. There's probably something I'm missing on a few guys and where I just don't understand the ins and outs on it. But like how I see certain things, like if I'm watching a whole game and you haven't done at least five or three to five possessions straight of being the passer or the scorer or the defender, then I'm not amazed. I'm just like, ah. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there's a lull time in your game, but you shoot a three, and the next 4 minutes you shoot a three, and your stats look great, but when I watch the game, it's like, I didn't see anything. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or with a LaMelo, which is why I like him, he'll do a crazy layup. Then he'll do an amazing assist the next possession. Then he'll do you get what I'm saying? Like, he'll have 3 times in a row where he shows up. Like that Kings game in the fourth, the third, or I don't remember. I forgot which quarter it was, where he just took over in a whole bunch of possessions.
Yeah, man.
That's how I see it. I don't look at shooting percentage because for some reason, in the beginning of most of his games in the NBL this year, he would like just play like shit. Like he was either trying to shoot a bunch of shots, and it was like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And then out of nowhere, like late in the first or late in the second, he comes out of nowhere and starts showing his game. Boom, 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 starts attacking. Gets the lead up, starts catching up. Then he goes to the bench. Then his team loses the lead. And then he has to then they lose. You know what I'm saying? That's usually how it goes.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah.
I wanted to talk about this one player, RJ Hampton. RJ Hampton, to me, he needs to be on the team where they have an established facilitator. He's a combo guard. He's very explosive. I'm gonna be honest. He's probably the most explosive player in this draft.
I think he would work well with the Kings. If they're getting rid of Buddy Hill, I don't think he'd be great his first year. Like he'll have the same ifs like Fox did his first year, but you'll obviously see the talent. Like Fox will have a cutter to get it to. He's getting better at shooting. He's already worked with Mike. What's his name? What's his last name? Mike, the white guy who played in Miami.
Mike Miller.
He's been working with Mike Miller. Like he's been getting his shots off. Like I think he's gonna be prepared. I feel like he would work well with the Kings, man. He would just, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing. The Kings will be a good fit for him. What do you think the Pelicans should do with their draft pick? They better not get a guard, I'll tell you that.
Jalen Smith or trade down? Or trade down to see if you can get Jalen Smith. That's
you know who he reminds me of?
Who?
Taj Gibson, but a little taller.
Who can shoot threes?
Yeah. If I'm the Pelicans, I'm getting him from Maryland. Yeah. Jalen Smith from Maryland.
I feel I don't know if he's going to be great, but I still have a lot of question marks on Jackson Hayes. And I'm like, at least this guy in college proved he can get rebounds. He can attack the rim ferociously. He can shoot, which is important. He can shoot off of pick and rolls. He can shoot, pick and pops. But he's really good. Like, for some reason, I'm surprised that he doesn't get, talked about more.
I mean, you would think a player that averages around 15 points a game, 2.5 blocks a game, and 10-plus rebounds should get, ranked more in draft boards. And he's one of those players I wouldn't be surprised to move up.
You know what? I'm about to have a hot take. And I know this is going to be a hot take for even professional dudes. I think he's more valuable than Obi Toppin. I'm dead serious. I think Jalen Smith, as an actual 5, is more valuable than Obi Toppin. He can get you buckets. You're not expecting him to be your star player, but you're expecting, especially for the Pelicans, because Zion could live in the post all he wants. He doesn't have to worry about the center eating up and Brandon Ingram doesn't have to worry about someone blocking his mid-range shots or being in the way of his mid-ranges. he allows for more space. He can block shots defensively. I don't know about his lateral quickness. I don't know if he's that fast, but I do know he can jump.
Oh, I like his potential, man. I like his potential. He's one of those prospects where if he gets drafted a lot earlier than projections, I'm not even tripping off that. His potential is through the roof. I don't know why he's in the mid-teens in the first round projections. It doesn't make any sense.
Because he's not as great, like for a 5, he's not as great of a defender like Kwangwoo. I think he's just, but like what my mindset is, I can understand why he falls, but I don't understand why the Pelicans would take him. Because to be real with you, the Pelicans have very few choices with that pick. It's either they trade down, or they take him or Zeke Naji. And for some reason, I don't know why you would take Zeke Naji at 13, so you need to trade down.
Yeah, they only got a few moves to make, meaning the Pelicans. They can't waste this draft on another guard.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like that's why every time I hear people say things like, "Oh, they should get Killian Hayes," I'm like, "And do what?" Like unless they're gonna trade. And first of all, they're in a sort of win now position. So getting a Killian Hayes or LaMelo makes very little fucking sense at all. As much as I like LaMelo, I would rather them just kind of try to find a way to trade Drew and try to get a veteran point guard who costs less and try to get. Yeah.
Why I don't get this this belief that LaMelo and Lonzo playing together with the Pelicans. That I know they're going off high school and all that, but this is the NBA. I want LaMelo to have his own type of image and team, and so same for Lonzo.
I get it. No, I get it because it makes sense. Because Lonzo's seen, even from an organizational standpoint, Lonzo's seen as a linking passer, not as like a primary like the guy who could be your primary ball handler, which is LaMelo is seen as one. Problem is, for me, is I think remember that conversation we had with how do I forget his name? He pointed this out. He was like, unless this only makes sense if they're a win now or if they're not looking to win. Because if they're not looking to win now and just add value, LaMelo and Killian, great ideas. But if they're looking to win now, that's the worst fucking idea.
Yeah.
And at first I was like really bought into LaMelo going to the Pelicans. Oh, that'd be great. But I'm like, first of all, you're not trading Drew for that. Like, that would look so terrible as an organization if you did that. And
and I gotta say this, if Lonzo played on another team that has a wing, like a legit wing in a 5, I could say, okay, you can make that move. But in a team where I think BI is a shooting guard, yes, I said it, BI is a shooting guard, and they need to address the number 3 position and the 5 position, you cannot take another guard. That doesn't make any sense.
Unless Zion upgrades his defense and doesn't look the way he did this year, I can't trust not to get a 5. Because Derek Favors is aging. He's aging. He's getting washed. He just is. Like, he was okay defensively this year, but anytime him, BI, and Zion were on the court together, it was very bunched together because it didn't allow for BI to get off his, mid-rangers. He was really struggling. So it's very tricky with the Pelicans because Zion is a very, very post-heavy kind of player, man. He plays like a big offensively, but doesn't bring anything big-wise defensively.
You know what's funny? Derek Favors is around our age, and he's been in the league for 10 years. Remember, he got drafted as a freshman in 2010.
Yeah.
We talk about him like he's probably aging in basketball years, right?
Yeah, listen. He's a young person, but he is getting up there in basketball ages. He's like, yeah, you're right. I got to start saying it because Rondo's only 30, what? 31, 32?
He's around 32, 33 or
And
something
people
like
talk about him like he's like an old man.
that. It's funny, man.
You
Dudes
forget.
are close around our age getting taught like they're old.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think I feel I don't this is just one last thing I want to get off my chest. The word winning type player. I'm getting tired of it. It's getting annoying and I need it to stop. Because I can give you two reasons why. Trae Young and Isaiah Thomas, the shorter one, are the key reasons why that winning player shit is the dumbest thing you could say. Remember, Isaiah Thomas, 2016-2017 season, when he averaged 28 points. Everyone was like, he was fifth voted MVP vote. He was a terrible defender, but Boston hit him. And no one said he was a liability. No one said he was worthless or anything like that. And he lost in, I think, to LeBron, right?
Yeah.
In the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got injured, right? Trae Young, he averages more points in his second year of his career, not his seventh. He averages way more points than this guy. He averages more assists. He shoots at a better clip. He shoots in more ridiculous shots. But for some reason, we say Trae Young is not a winning player.
That doesn't make any sense, man.
And my problem with the winning player is it takes context out of everything. It takes this idea that one guy changes the whole thing. Well, you can't win when you have a bunch of other rookie players who are not that great as shooters, and then your centers, your best center is John Collins, who's not that great defensively, and then he can't even play 25 games out of that season because of suspension. And your next player, who I don't even fucking know your centers are, is some other like guy who had to be traded to the Kings who wasn't that good. Then the other guy, like he doesn't even get minutes anymore. So like but we blame him. We say, well, he's just not a winning player. It's not his fault that his team is butt.
Yeah, I agree. I hate that, man.
But this is why LeBron does what he does, and that's why I hate when people criticize LeBron for being, oh, you're not a man, you're not willing to play with any team you got. LeBron can't do that because you're not going to look at him 50 years down the line and say, well, he did the right thing by playing with people who are not that great. No, you're going to be like, LeBron's a bum. You're going to do that. And I think Michael Jordan is better of a scorer, better player historically than LeBron is, but it also helped that he had Scottie Pippen and the best rebounder in the league. That shit helps. But I still think Michael Jordan's a legend. I think he's the best NBA player of all time. But you can't. But that's the thing. When we talk about legacy talk or winning players, people love to fucking just leave out context. And this goes for this year's rookies. This goes for every fucking bullshit thing I keep hearing about. Well, LaMelo hasn't been in a winning situation. It's like, first of all, if Lithuania and the Hawks are what you're talking about, let's get right to Lithuania. He played with dudes who didn't even want to play with him, didn't even want to be there. The Suns coach of the team wanted to get more minutes. The coach was already saying, I want to play these bums. You remember my whole Brodus rant I had on Twitter. Fucking playing Brodus. Brodus was garbage. Couldn't pass, was missing layups, but yet he got more minutes than LaMelo. That wasn't LaMelo's fault. That season was garbage. He came in the middle of that season. They were already losing games. Not LaMelo's fault. It were Hawks. They were being cheap. They were trying to get money grabs. They were trying to make money off LaMelo's name. They didn't add any other guy until LaMelo got injured, and even that failed. But yet, you know what happens? We blame LaMelo.
Mm-hmm.
But Trae Jones, he's a winning player. Because why? Because he joined a good team. But my problem is like that's the same with the Luka conversation with Trae Young. I do think Luka's better than Trae Young. But for some reason they always go like, well, Luka, man, if he would have with the Hawks, he would have won games. No, the fuck he would not have been winning games. Because he would have to deal with Trae Young would have to deal with. He would not have KP. He would not have that center who got injured this year, who's really good, fast laterally. He could move and he could shoot threes. He would not
John Collins?
Hmm?
John, you talking about John Collins?
No, Luka.
No, Lucas. For Luka. Oh, for Luka's team.
Light skin and black.
Light skin.
He was injured.
Maxi Kleber?
No, Maxi Kleber's a white guy, but he's a good defender too. He was giving Zion.
Willie Cauley-Stein.
No. Willie Collins, nah. Willie Collins, I wasn't getting no minutes. I forgot his name, but he's also a valuable player.
Powell.
Hmm?
Powell. I know his last name is, he's light skinned. His last name is Powell.
Yeah, Powell. He was great defensively. If he were in the playoffs with them, he would have been very challenging for them because they would have had more big men to face up against the Clippers. But like my thing is when we talk about Luka's team, even when Luka sat on the bench, their team could still score with Seth Curry leading the team. They had sturdy vets. They had a bunch of young veterans that could still do their thing without Luka on the floor. So whenever we don't use context, we'll go like, well, Luka's a winning player. And this is something that I have a problem with Bill Simmons when he talks. And he loves doing this for white players all the fucking time. Just trade this, and you know what I'm getting tired of? This Tyler Hero bullshit. I am getting tired of this hype. Because Tyler Hero is the epitome of why I hate how white journalists talk about swag. If a black young boy was dressing up like Tyler Hero, it would be an emotional problem. It would be something weird. He'd be considered a J.R. Smith type player. He's wearing dreads. Has a rap song after him, which is hilarious to me. Like the hype these white players get, it's ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous. Yes, like you get what I'm saying. I'm not hating because I actually think he's a valuable player and he's gonna have a really good future. But like he would not get the same kind of talk as any. Like why? When black guys wear dreads, no one gives a fuck. We don't have a music video for them. We don't take a picture of them. They take risky shots. We're not like did you hear us talking about Green from the Heat? Oh man, he's taking crazy shots. Man, we need to have a rap video about him. Some white rapper rapping about you. No one gives a fuck. Tyler Hero is seen the way he's seen because he's a white guy who plays basketball and doing all these risque things. It's cultural appropriating the shit out of the culture.
It's a double standard, my brother, and you see it through the media, and it's really funny, man. You know, these brothers seem like they can't do anything right for the media because it's always criticized. But if he was Jason or if he was Alex, Robert, it's
Yeah.
all the swagger. He's got all that swagger, man. I love it. But
Oh, the swagger.
If his name was Jarquavius, what a thug.
Oh, he's giving the ego on him. Look how it's
Look at it. Look at the company he keeps. His
you
posse.
See, and it's funny because whenever they talk about, that's why they like when you come with your black mom or come with your quiet black dad. They love it because they want to know that you are respectful, that you know your place in society, even though you're talented. But if you're a white guy, show some swagger. Oh, look at you. You came from the mud. You can make a rap video about that motherfucker. We give a shit more. I don't know why. It's just weird to me.
Or they do this, and I've seen it in the draft. What a respectable mother. What a respectable father. But if it's a outspoken father, oh, he's arrogant. He's scum. I looked at overtime, right? They had this series with R.J. Hampton and his journey, and his dad is outspoken as well. And you read the comments, and they said, "Man, his dad is so outspoken. It's annoying." See, it's the mindset already.
But you see, that's the problem. It's like his dad is outspoken, and he has the right to be more than I think LeVar because he actually was a professional, and he knows the game. So anyone who criticizes on him being outspoken can shut the fuck up, straight up. Like, but that's the thing. That's the thing, DJ. Like, I don't like LeVar, but I don't like the people who criticize LeVar more than I don't like LeVar. Like, I don't even like. For me, I don't even get why people bring his name up. There'll be points where I'm having conversations about LaMelo's skill, and they'll be like, "But look at his arrogancy. You know, his father's going to be. You're not drafting his father. Shut the fuck up." And that's the kind of conversations I have to go through. I'm like, why would
Man, it's amazing because I have no problem. You know me, I definitely have no problem with LeVar.
Yeah.
But I don't trip when people don't like LeVar. Like you said you get annoyed with LeVar sometimes. You even
Yeah.
told me that. But you never talk about him every day. I went on FYL Sports Debate Show and shout out to him. There was this guy named Showtime. We were talking about LaMelo and his potential. He said, I don't see LaMelo being good. He got a loud daddy and all this. And I said, what does this have to do with LaMelo Ball being a great player? And then he's trying to say that we called him a superstar. And nobody in the panel said he was a superstar yet or would be a superstar. See,
Yeah.
this is what we have to go through. Dumb talking points.
Yeah, like here's the only way. Like here's how I'll see Lamelo being a superstar. If Lamelo can play okay to good defense, he could shoot over 36%, and not just shooting over 36%. I mean like shooting like off the dribble shots. Then I'm like, oh shit, and being able to take in contact and getting to the line more. Then you know what? He's a superstar.
Agreed. If he does that, he can be.
Yeah,
And
but that's my whole thing. But like I said, like when we were talking about this, it's okay to say you don't like LeVar, but and I think that's happening with a lot of scouts because every time I hear a lot of people talking on these podcasts, they always say, well, LaMelo's ego, I just don't, he might be pushing the organization or something like that. And it always seems like they're taking this from idea of that he's LeVar.
yeah, I watched a video from DKM. He interviewed their trainer, Mike
Yeah.
Fox. And he said something that was it stood out to me about LaMelo. He said LaMelo's a gym rat. He said he eats, drinks, sleeps basketball. It's all he talks about, it's all he does. And wouldn't you want that as a cornerstone for your franchise?
Yeah, you would. And also, I want to get this the one thing because I think there's this one guy who's really mad that LaMelo's not 180, like 90 or 100, 200 pounds. The more I listened to him talk about how the workout regimen going, I could understand why he didn't gain that much. They weren't doing heavy lifting because when he was saying what he said to DKM was, we were working out as if the season was starting in a day. So there's certain workouts you do like off-season workouts is when you can start bulking up. Like that's when Lonzo. But like when you're in the season, that's when you do rubber workouts. You do workouts that don't constrain your body. So when I was watching the videos, I'm like, yeah, they're doing type workouts where it's not trying to push the limit on LaMelo, but working on his core and his injuries to make sure he doesn't get injured.
Yeah, his trainer pointed out that though the reason why he's at that weight, he's at a good 180 plus, meaning his joints, his flexibility,
Yeah.
his speed increases, and that limits injuries. As you know, if you get unnecessary fat, you could be 200 pounds. Let's say LaMelo's 205, but he's 15% body fat.
It slows
You're
his
gonna
game.
get more injuries. You're gonna get injuries.
Yeah. And that's why I think Sweatbox is probably way more knowledgeable about this. But I feel like a lot of people they only know heavy lifting workouts and they don't realize that certain professions are very different than one another. Like basketball, you just don't do heavy lifting workouts. And that's why one guy was like, oh man, they should just work out with LeVar. They would have been better. No, the fuck they wouldn't have. Like I was seeing the work. That's one of the reasons why I was very key on not liking LeVar that much in the professional term. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it was always one of those things where he would have them work out, but he would never tell him to like what Lamelo's trainer tells him to do right now is keep your back straight, keep your body straight. That was something that never came out of LeVar's fucking mouth. It was always just pick up the weights. Oh, get it. And it was less controlled, which is what I never liked, and that always leads to more injuries, which people don't know because they don't know about working out correctly.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's funny. People would say that I'm always defending LeVar, but that's not the truth. Uh, I only talk about him if someone says something dumb about him regarding his kids. We had someone on Lamont's channel say that LeVar was extorting his kids. And even the people that dislike LeVar even say, hold on, extorting is an extreme word.
Like extorting, no.
Yeah.
Probably saw an opportunity in a situation that he helped his kids grow, but he also was like, I'm not saying he's a fucking saint, but like extorting is to say that he was trying to get stuff from them. And
I mean, he made, am I lying or am I not? LeVar made money before all of this. It may not be the money Lonzo has now.
yeah, he actually,
He made money.
Like, let's keep it real. They would have got drafted. They would have still got all the stuff they would have, but they wouldn't have gotten this amount. They wouldn't have you and I talking about them like this if it weren't for LeVar.
True.
They'd probably be considered regular scouts. They wouldn't have our backings and everyone else talking about. They wouldn't have DCAM. If it weren't for LeVar, they wouldn't have all these people. So this idea that LeVar is exploiting them, well, no, he's just reaping the benefits he's helped build, and they're not angry at him. They're not saying, "Why are you taking money out of my pockets?" No, they're working with him. I hate when people they talk in white people language. They talk in Karen language. They talk in this. I just feel very worried for you. I just feel like he's gonna do something negative. Shut the fuck up.
And it's sad when brothers and certain sisters are saying that. I'm like, you acting just like these same uppity folks that we talk about.
Like I always laugh when people make fun of LeVar for like how he talks or how loud he is or how obnoxious or how egoistic he is or like just the way he trains people. That's funny to me because I find that true. But at the same time, I do see the benefits of him. I don't get how people can't just have context. Like you can not like somebody. You can still see context in like the character and how they treat their family.
Man, I got a cousin in San Antonio, right? San Antonio, Texas. We talk about the Ball family time to time, and trust me, he's on your bandwagon in terms of he disagrees with LeVar a lot of times. He doesn't really like the guy like that. But he told me one time, he said, "Man, why is the media obsessed with him when you haven't heard from him that much, and LaMelo has a team around him?" And I was like, "Cuz, man, the media, they just want to put an agenda. LaMelo got his own team. He got his own mentor, trainers, everything. And these people keep bringing up his father. It makes no sense."
Yeah, you know what it is? It's the same thing with like, I hate to go to politics, but it's the same thing. Like, with how what's gonna happen to Camilla is gonna be the same thing. You're gonna have racist assholes who are gonna criticize her for being, different race and saying going back to her country. You know what I'm saying? Republican viewpoints. But then people are gonna misconstrue that and try to defend her. It's just gonna. But she is. It's just wrong criticisms. You get what I'm saying? Like, people are not gonna attack on what she's actually bad at. They're just gonna attack her for dumb shit.
Yeah, it's just like, and we're not trying to be political, but I'll use this as an analogy. In politics, right? The reason why in politics we're so dumbed down on both sides is because we never attack the policies.
Yep.
We go off of emotion of what we think.
That is true. Like, that's why with LeVar, that's why the media works so well to attack LeVar, because they go off his character. They don't talk about what he actually did, what he planned to do for kids. They don't talk about anything in depth. They don't talk about how when he did argue with the female, it was not because he hated women, it's because she was actually wrong. They don't talk about that because they need to fill an agenda. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know about this black man agenda bullshit until like now, because even Jamel Hill just wrote a fucking tweet. I blocked her, but for some reason someone commented on her shit. Really, you going after black men again? And I was like, okay, let me click. And I was like, oh wow, for some fucking reason she did it again. And for these things, I just realized that it's an agenda in this country to keep attacking black men. Like, right. I don't even like getting credit for like, oh, everyone voted for, but the whole black woman is the backbone of the democracy thing. And for some reason, they always leave out black dudes. Like, we also weren't a big percentage that voted for them. You just go, oh, okay. Cool.
Wait a minute, didn't 80% of black men voted Democrat? That's the truth.
Not enough. That's not enough. We need more.
No, no, but I'm just saying it's a big percentage.
We need more to be sheeps and not consider anything else.
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. You're being sarcastic. Yeah,
Now,
we gotta have 100%. That's impossible.
yeah, no, let's give white women all the credit they deserve, even though it's 55% voted against their own policies. But it's funny. That shit's funny to me. Because I find that shit funny.
This whole thing is funny, man. I was talking to my cousin about you know about the fallacies of politics. Like they're talking, the radical right are saying Joe Biden is a communist or a socialist.
And
Man, he's centrist. He's a centrist. He's
man,
corporate.
I tell you, DJ, I was like, every time they said he's a socialist, I was like, I wish. I fucking wish he was what you said he was, except for the communist part. But I wish he was a socialist. I wish he was this programmed person. Does anyone not realize that Kamala Harris was like the highest one when it was the Democratic? I think the Democrats debating against each other. It was the primary. She was the highest funded person from businesses and corporations for campaigning. And then when she lost, where did all that money go? Biden, for some apparent reason. Like, dude, no one should think anything's going to change because there's no fiscal reason for anything to change.
Don't these people realize? Don't these Seans realize that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are well liked by centrist Democrats, centrist Republicans, corporate Democrats, corporate Republicans?
Yeah,
They want them in.
Yeah, you know what's funny? There was news that Mitt Romney's trying to get a job with Joe Biden, and as soon as I heard that shit, I was like, oh, it's slow.
Do it.
I was like, fuck this whole place. Fuck this. Like Joe Biden said, we need to. These are the words that made me realize I died inside. Because I was happy Trump was gone. I was a little happy. I was cheering a little. I was still happy for that moment. But Joe Biden came back, put me back.
Reality set in, huh?
Reality set in.
Oh man, I talked to my kinfolk about that. He said, man, he's like, I ain't lying, I was cheering, but damn, man, that reality set in, man.
Boom.
And I was like, wait a minute, the status quo is coming back.
And I was
this
like,
is what he said. This is what he said. I got to tell you. He said instead of overt racism, instead of overt racism, you have covert racism.
Oh yeah, I could. You know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna bet this, and whoever hears this online, you're gonna hear this. When a Black Lives Matter protest happens, and inconveniently someone riots, Joe Biden's gonna be like, we need to come together, and we need to be bigger than. We got to be better people, and we should not riot. We should not do this. We need to let our word
protest.
Boom. And then slightly bring in the National Guard, but he won't say really mean racist things about it.
Oh man, I love these conversations, man, about life. Because I'm not a politician, but I'm politically aware. I'm politically aware. And I looked at the news. Portland has all those protests, right?
Yeah.
Did you know that they just added, after the election, the governor added extra police at that area now, after the election was gone. So Biden won. Okay, it's good now. We can send more police.
DJ, you know what really fucks my head up? Is even during the protest, they were like, Democratic mayors to the cities where the violence was happening was like, you know how you could change this? Vote. It's like, no, not one person. What the fuck are you talking about? Why don't you fucking change it right now? What the fuck are you talking about? But that's what they did. Oh, well, you need to vote. Get these mean Republicans out. It's like, no, a Republican works here. It's you. You're taking on police union funds for your next campaign, but telling them that you're an evil organization. How can you do both?
Man, it's funny how they missed the signs. John Kasich, who is a Republican, but he voted for Joe Biden. He's great friends with Joe Biden. Don't be surprised if he's on this team.
Oh Joe man, Biden. You know what John Kasich said? Oh man, I'm coming up with hits because he literally was the one that had a speech. He says, the defund the police and the Black Lives Matter protests really did hurt the
I
Democrats.
saw it.
And I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? That was the reason you were getting the votes. And then they changed the position to, they need to stay away from these, really progressive ideas. And I was like,
man, I got to say this. I saw it, and you know me, when in terms of BLM, there's things I don't always agree with, right? But there's things that I don't always agree with everything. But this is where BLM is right on. They did help the Democratic Party get votes.
Yeah.
Record numbers.
Yeah.
And I saw John Kasich say they almost cost Biden the election. I said, oh boy, it's starting.
Yeah, because what basically their whole narrative, even though the funny thing is all the progressive Democrats won their places. The ones who were against even campaigning for that lost. Funny thing is they found out that Americans were pro-healthcare, or like pro-free healthcare. They were pro all of the things. Remember, weed became illegal. You just noticed weed and even in Oregon, like real drugs became really illegal there without long prison time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And for some reason, all these progressive ideas are looked at as great, but for some reason, these people go like, well, that's hurting us. It's like, no, it's not. You just are milquetoast, boring, don't have any great issues to bring up except vote against Trump. That's the only reason you won. It wasn't because you guys have done a great job. It's because Trump was so fucking bad that it allowed for you to win. And you didn't even win successfully. You needed a pandemic.
And I can't speak for everybody's life. My life, through all the presidents, right? I've been good. I figured out life, right? Stocks, etc., international, moving your money and doing all that. Things that some people do, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what the other side is saying. So I can't go around and say, my life was good, so your life should be good. That doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Everybody doesn't have the resources. Some presidents were bad to others. It's just the reality. Yeah. So I can't go around telling people, well, my life was good.
Well, that's why I hated when Lil Wayne was talking. That's exactly what Lil Wayne was saying. Well, my life is good, so fuck everyone else. And so he liked her because he didn't see anything wrong. He was like, when I was arrested when I was a young kid and a white cop took care of me, I was like, man, I don't understand why everyone hates cops. That's literally what he was saying. I'm like, what the fuck do you, what?
The great Malcolm X once said, you can't take these celebrities serious.
You can't. You can't. And one of these writers was talking about how giving Kamala Harrison was like a revolution. And a lot a lot of pro-black women, and give credit to the pro-black women, they were like, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? That's not what a revolutionary is. And I think a lot of the black community has been so used to like black people in high places, thanks to Obama, that it doesn't sell us like it used to.
No.
Like, we've seen it.
Believe it or not, no matter what you say about Donald Trump, he woke up our minds as black people to know that, wait a minute, it took him to be in office to realize we're not at the place we thought we were. We thought when we elected Barack Obama, it was going to be like, Kumbaya, my Lord. It wasn't that. We had Trayvon Martin getting killed, and then we have Michael Brown, and then we had this. We had wars that we shouldn't have been in.
Yeah.
We took power from other countries, from bombing and everything else. There's a lot of problems.
Helped create a slave trade vacuum in those countries that wasn't the way it was because Gaddafi was in control. But then we said, oh, boom, take it away. And then we just made shit worse because clans popped out of nowhere out of that country. Because, power vacuums.
And this is why I don't like the athletes pretty much shucking and jiving when Biden won. It was pathetic, man. They literally act like we were just in slavery. It was embarrassing.
Oh, my God.
I said, are we that dumb?
You saw that cry? Oh man.
Van Jones? Oh my God.
But that's
Wasn't
my
he
problem.
wasn't he with the Trump administration about the what's the thing about the thing they passed about
Setting 13,000 people free.
yes. He was with them cheering it up, hanging with the Trump sons and everything. And he gonna go on TV and said it was I could tell my daughter you have to deal with racism anymore.
What? You see, that's the problem. And it's that I feel like MSNBC and Fox, they put on these black people to tell everyone that racism is just about presidents taking over. And that racism is not an actual system that exists within the country. And they treat it like, meh, like it'll go away since Trump is not president anymore. And that hurts our efforts to changing anything in this country for black people. Because then no one treats it fucking seriously. Everyone just treats it like, oh, let's just go to a protest and dance around. And then maybe the cops, like fucking will just say, well, you know what? They're right. Like,
yes. It's funny. It's just a bunch of hypocrisy, buffoonery on both. I'm seeing it on both sides, and then you have the extreme right. Here's my problem with them. I agree on, we should, for America, right? We should only look out for whoever is in this state, right?
Yeah.
This country. We all agree that doesn't matter. They should take it like that. My problem with them is they worship Trump. And I'm not trying to I'm not one of these people that talk about Trump all day. It's annoying. It's pointless. It's pointless. It's an excuse. Now,
yeah.
they never disagree with Trump. With Barack Obama, we at least disagreed with him before.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like that. I think I'm not taking but my thing is that I agree with you. I would like our nation to be for Americans, by Americans. I would like the strong unity. But these Republican people, and of them, they don't see it that way. They see it as white Americans for white Americans. They don't, when they look at other people, that's why I don't like them. It's not because of, get what I'm saying? Because they're not really considering every American. They never do. And Republicans always do dog whistle things to show you. And the problem is, and I'm going to say this, is I hate Republicans because they make it very easy for mediocre Democrats to get power.
Wow, that's very profound. You heard that? And let's label this so people can understand, because there's different type of Republicans. We all know that. I would like to call them the neo-Republicans.
Yeah.
The corporation, I call it. They're making it very easy. This country club Republicans, and there's a country club Democrats as well. They're making it easy for the established Democrats to win these elections.
Yeah. Because all the established Democrat has to say is racism is bad. Look what they're doing. Racism is bad. Boom. Even
you know what's funny, man? My grandfather, we talked about this like a month ago, and I check up on him time to time. And I was like, what do you think about this election? And this was when they did the debates. He said, it's quite funny to hear Joe Biden say someone being racist. Now, he voted for him. But he thought it was just funny that he was this the champion for civil rights.
Yo, this is the last thing I got to say about not even last. It's just the way they got at Bernie about how he didn't talk about reparations or how he didn't talk about certain black people problems, but let Biden go ahead. I was like, that's disgusting. Like Bernie championed more for the working people than Biden has, and Bernie didn't get hundreds of thousands of people arrested and ruin their lives over fucking pot like Joe Biden has. And yet we somehow criticize Bernie for black stuff.
Yeah, that and like with all politicians, there's things I disagree with. I've disagreed with Bernie before, but at least with Bernie, I knew he came from a good place. He was trying to he's innovation. His first 4 years, the 2006 years, was the best Bernie because he was more about creating, doing things for only Americans, but more in a positive image.
Yeah.
And wanted to create advance America, technology, more green deal. I know people get mad about that, but we got to advance as a country. We can't keep doing the
you
same
see
thing.
the weather out here now? Like, this shit is getting obvious. This isn't like, oh, this is a myth. Like, it's global warming is real. Like, we can't sit around and say, no, you know what? Let's fossil fuels. Let's just let shit keep going. Biden's whole idea, instead of actually pushing it, he said, let's wait until 2050 where these cars can be illegal. 2050?
Joe Biden's being cheap. I'm telling you why. What he should have, and he's not being smart. What he should have said was what Bernie said is we have to transition gradually through each year from fossil fuel to a more energy substance.
I agree with the Republicans here. The reason why that's hard is because the Republicans and the Democrats didn't help fund a lot of these schools that a lot of poor Americans are going to. So that's a lot of their jobs that are gone. So they can't just, oh, okay. When Hillary, like, I remember Hillary made this whole thing, well, we could just train them to get into solar panels. That's not just something you could easily just have 100,000 Americans just get into. You have to, like, have this program, and the education program in America stinks. So it doesn't allow for that to happen. So it hurts a lot of Americans. And that's why a lot of Americans, even Andrew Yang brought this up in a debate. He talked to a lot of truck drivers, and he realized that they're going to lose their job in a couple years, too.
You can't, I got to say this, man. You can't fault Republicans when they say that, hey, y'all can talk about Green Deal all you want, but what are you going to do? Because what if they lose their jobs? And you're right, It starts with school. We're being selfish, and we're thinking about, I care about nature, man. I live on an island. So I'm the first one to see what it looks like when you have good nature around you. We don't have toxins in the air and all that stuff. I've seen it. But there's a process that you got to do. What Biden did wrong is trying to, delay it back further so he doesn't have to deal with it.
Oh yeah, because that's saying 2050 is very insulting to voters because basically
that's pretty much saying we're done.
Because the next 4 years, if a Republican wins, he just cuts off your deal within like a year, and then that year's useless. Doesn't change anything.
It's funny how that works, man. I'm glad people are waking up to everything, and like I said, I'm glad that I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I always say I'm an independent because I'm a black man, and we haven't got anything for years. But what I realized, people are willing to talk with me about other things because they know I'm not trying to, just like what I talk with you, I'm not trying to act like I'm always right on politics. I'm trying to learn.
Yeah. No, I'll be honest. I'm not like the system is too strong. Like, I understand why certain politicians just can't do. Like, Elizabeth Warren is the best at being a progressive and understanding the system. She still has to pass bills that have conservative influence in it. She still has to put on her grown-up pants and understand that this is the world we live in where people only think for self, and we still need to progress to that. So, I understand it's not as easy as, just saying, hey, that's wrong, you're not being progressive, but it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just like watching them have that speech, and Camilla Harris bringing up that she went to Howard was just to appease the black people. It was just Camilla Harris doing a lot of weird things, saying, oh, Tupac was the best. I like listening to Tupac. When they asked what's your best rapper alive, she said Tupac. I was like, oh my God, she doesn't even know that I was just like, ah.
Someone said on social media that Kamala Harris had the best image transformation in the history of America.
I mean, they might be right because her image in the beginning was dog shit, and she might be able to be a progressive or a good person.
I know who the real Kamala is. You are who you surround yourself with. And I'm not saying because she's with a white man. I'm saying it because who she's around. When she was on that stage, you saw more white people than anybody else. She's a corporate person. She's corporate. I try to tell people that. I'm not dogging her for her accomplishments, but I'm being real. What I expect, I don't really expect uh, true progressive ideals from her.
Yeah,
All they're gonna do is say this is racist and this is that, and try to make people just okay. At least she's for our side without really doing anything.
yeah. I'm still. I'll be honest. I am proud that there's a black woman who's a vice president. We have more people representing who could show that we are smart people, and that's it. But do I find her to be someone where I'm like, we relate or she fights for any cause? No. No.
As you know, man, I've been working corporate America and doing all this stuff. It's amazing what I hear from white people. You know, these little meetings and stuff, you know, break times. And I heard two white people talking. They were so happy that they voted for Joe Biden. And they thought I couldn't hear, but I heard it. They're like, man, I'm glad Joe Biden won. I was getting tired of these riots, these protests. Maybe that get the dim down some since he's in office. They voted for him, but most of them voted for him for that, to eliminate grassroots organizations.
And you know, and that's one thing about this Black Lives Matter group. They were funding the Democrats, and I'm like, is it like it wasn't like the protest and the organization are two different things, and that's why I need people to really understand that. The organization is run by bourgeoisie people who go to Nigeria, talk to the president, spend all their money on nice fancy dinners, but that at the same time call themselves communists, which they're not. Then they go in and get funded to they're about to get a Warren Brother deal. I'm like, they feed off of people who are on the street actually looking for change. That black man who didn't who's the black, I think he was a Senate leader, like who didn't allow for the police to get in trouble. He has his white wife and all that, and everyone hates him.
What's say?
Um, who's the black woman that got shot when she was sleeping?
Oh yeah, the one.
There's so many people that have been getting shot. I just forget all.
Yeah. God damn, this was.
Um.
Damn, I can't believe I forgot because we know about George Floyd.
Yeah. No, because I would set all the news.
Because the NBA players were saying, like the slogans for her.
Yeah. Fuck, man, I have bad memory. I need to work on this memory because she was really, really important in how disgusting it was. They were hiding that shit. Like, they didn't even want to get papers sent. But, you know, we got Biden in, so then maybe Biden will.
Breonna Taylor. On it. Breonna Taylor.
Yeah, Breonna Taylor. Yeah. And there was a black guy who was the one that said no to her, who was like, oh, let's not have these papers. And he was a black guy in a high position, like Camilla is. He was black. Why didn't he take our side? Because he's not on her side. He has his white wife, like Camilla has her white husband. He's around a bunch of white people. He does not give a fuck about us.
Yeah. And this is the reason why, because people look at me crazy when I criticize the established Democrats. I do that because I know who they are. And just because you vote them in doesn't mean they're absolved of criticism. You're supposed to do that.
I'm giving Biden until Inauguration Day. I'm going to treat this. I'm going to still be cheerful. We got rid of Trump because I was getting tired of stupid shit. I was getting tired of real stupid shit. But at the same time, and you're about to hear something, David, my people might bug out. I really wanted him to get another 4 years for a different reason. For a really weird, different reason. I needed him to destroy the Republican Party. He would have destroyed.
You know what? If he would have gone an extra 4 years, I've heard of even in his base that they were beefing with other conservatives. If you didn't realize, right? I knew then. I said, "Oh boy, this could be forever gone."
Yeah, it would have been like 2008. It would have been the John McCain and Obama year. He would have beaten them by 10 million votes, the next Democratic candidate, because they would have been so unpopular. because the economy's still going to go down. Like the way Trump left it, like you notice like after presidents leave, it usually takes 2 to 3 years for their actions to actually be shown, even a year or so.
Mm-hmm.
And like now Trump can just blame Biden, and the Republicans just blame Biden for all of Trump's idiotic bullshit. And since the Democrats are so weak as soft as pudding, they'll probably fall for it. And then we got to get another crazy fucking Republican who's just who's smart and who might know.
I'm telling you, the 2024 election season is going to be very interesting.
Oh
And
God!
I think Kamala will run. I don't think Biden will run another term. He'll be older. He's the oldest president, by the way, being elected. So I think his family would tell him, "Hey, just retire from it. Let Kamala go." And so Kamala will probably go against. And this person, I think this person is going to be very cunning, but puts out the similar agendas.
Yeah.
Going to be very, very good with words.
I'm about to say this right now. I think ALC is going to run for president.
She got to be 45.
Oh,
You got to be
yes,
you got to wait. That's the deadline. You can't be like, she's 32.
Man, that's a dumbass rule. That's a real dumbass rule. You have to be an old fuck who has.
Hey, that's the rules, bro.
Fuck these rules, man. Look, Elizabeth Warren, someone.
Elizabeth Warren is better than Kamala. I'll give you that. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Every candidate, I got something to say, but I'm gonna be honest. Elizabeth Warren is better than Kamala. I'm just being honest.
Yeah, I feel, man, it stinks. Because I know it's not gonna be. I know the next time. Because I voted. I did vote this time, but it was like one of those. Well, I guess I'll just vote this guy, but I'm not voting next time. I'm not fucking voting next time.
There's a lot of people that are not voting next time. They've already said it. I've heard a lot of black people say it.
I'm not. I'm gonna wait. If Biden does some amazing, because I'll be open to it. If Biden does any amazing shit, if he just gets a lot of people out of prison, if he makes just all of them for weed, for drug deals, if he finds a way to do something historic that actually affects us, which I doubt, I'm gonna vote for him. If he does none of that, nah.
One thing I would like him to do, any person who was wrongly in prison or locked up in general due to the crime bill and they had no violent offenses, they should be out.
Oh, man, you know what? He'd be rightfully forgiven if he took care of that bill and got everyone out that was affected by that bill. No, I'm sorry for it. None of that word crap. If you do something to affect that, people can see. You can show your change. I highly doubt it because of the prison industry, but yeah.
That's going to be tough because I'm going to be honest with everybody. Joe Biden is a corporate politician. So since he's a corporate politician, he's in with the prison industry because they're corporate as well. That's just how the game goes, by the way. Yeah. Hopefully he could break away from that and do the right thing. I have certain family members who were wrongfully, they sell some dime bags here and there, but they went to prison for that. And they still don't forgive him for that stupid bill. But his son could do all the tough drugs in the world, and he gets off scot-free.
Wealthy family, white dude. He fit all the. He got all that. But yo, I'm gonna be out.
Yes, man. It was a joy to do this show, man. Everyone who subscribed to the channel, thank you. And Gibson, I gotta have you on. I know we're supposed to talk sports, but it's fun to talk about life, man. We can't just be boxed in all the time.
Yeah, man.
Yes.